Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Let's listen to this fantastic conversation with Arturo Rangel Alvarez, who recently attends University of Detroit Mercy, pursuing a mechanical engineering degree. He was born in San Diego, California, and grew up in Tijuana, Mexico. Let's hear his story of resilience and persistence in his pursuit for higher education. Beginning fencing at an early age has led to some interesting opportunities and opened great doors. He certainly has had a whirlwind of emotions as he moved to the University of Detroit Mercy, all in a very rushed manner. This is certainly an interview not to be missed. Let's get started. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Thank you for joining us. Today I have Arturo Rangel Alvarez. He is a current student at the University of Detroit Mercy. He is pursuing his mechanical engineering degree. He is from Tijuana, Mexico, and is an avid fencer. He is part of the university's fencing team. He most recently finished an internship with Rank America, the manufacturer of transmissions and other drivetrain components for combat vehicles for the Department of Defense. Welcome, Arturo Rangel Alvarez, to Success Innovation. How are you doing today, sir?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm doing pretty well. School is going great. Fencing is going great too. So, gonna be happier to be here today to share a little bit of my experiences.
Okay, thank you, Arturo. I did a little introduction of you, who you are, and you like to fence, but can you tell us, did I miss anything important that you want to highlight? And once you do that, can you also tell us two of your main core values?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Arturo Rangel Alvarez. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student here at the University of Detroit Mercy. I'm also a D1 fencer here at UDM. We compete with universities like Ohio State, Notre Dame, Northwestern, which are schools that are in our region. So let's say we're having a lot of fun competing with schools like that. And interesting facts about me. As you said, I'm from Tijuana, Baja California. I was actually born in San Diego, but lived in Mexico almost my entire life. And I came here to UDM. It was actually pretty unexpected. I was planning to take a gap year, but my current fencing coach talked to me about the school and that I could get a pretty good scholarship to come here around 2-3 months before classes. And I started the process. Everything was pretty fast, and it happened. And I'm here today. I would say top two things or core values. I would say leadership. I love helping other people and being the leader of any kind of teams. I like to feel ownership of any kind of project, and I like to drive initiative in different projects. Even can be academic, extracurriculars, or also professionally. And second, I would say core values. Hmm, that's a good question. I would say just very passionate about anything that I do. I really like to go all the way and work at my 110% at anything and anything that I try to do. I don't like to work or just do something because of the sake of it. I like to go all the way at it has been the same way in fencing, at school since middle school, now here in college. So I would say those are my two things.
Awesome. So leadership and being 100%
Yeah.
involved and
Yes,
committed
sir.
to something. Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing that with us. So you talked about how you ended up going to this particular college, right? Your coach, fencing coach, he said, or she said, hey, there's this opportunity. You should look into this. They might or they probably will give you a good scholarship. And being an international student, that has a lot to do with how you ended up coming over to the university system in the US, right? You talked about taking a gap year. We've discussed with some other students in the past in the podcast that taking a gap year is sometimes difficult to do, right? It's not unheard of, but it's a tricky path, to be honest with you. But how did you know, first of all, that you wanted to be an engineer, more specifically, a mechanical engineer? And what were some of the obstacles, and how did you overcome those obstacles before going to college?
Both honestly, there was a lot of obstacles. I will start. I would say since I was even before I got into fencing, which I got into fencing pretty young at like 11 years old, or I think it was 10. Um, so I started fencing, and in reality, after a couple of years, I liked it, but my main motivation to pursue a fencing career was to later on try to get a scholarship in college to study here in the US, which I knew, of course, it's not a secret that college here in the US, it's very expensive nowadays, and it's pretty difficult to get any kind of scholarship, like even academic, financial aid, or athletic too. It's just very hard. You have to prove that you have to prove your value through different activities. So that's why I spent I think I was working almost as a full-time athlete, um, um, doing both things, school and athletics, since since elementary school. So I spent years and years doing better in fencing for me to be able to at least have a chance of getting a scholarship here in the US. But going back to engineering, since I was a kid, honestly, I felt that numbers and any kind of thing related to numbers was pretty easy for me. I just thought it was something that I didn't have to put that much effort into as some other of my classmates. But specifically, I would say the thing that made me choose mechanical engineering was definitely jet propulsion and gas turbine engines. I think those two things are something that as a kid I used to watch a couple of shows and some videos on YouTube on just how those engines work. Because for me, it was just incredible that we as humans could design, or engineers could design something that powerful for different applications like fighter jets and stuff like that. Specifically, I would say in defense. That's what really um, got me interested in mechanical engineering, and I'm really happy to be pursuing that career nowadays.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that insight. Little, going back to the fencing aspect. Fencing, it's not really for. Let me explain from my perspective for the audience what fencing is. Fencing is a sport. It's a sport where you actually have two individuals facing off each other, right, with a pair of, I'm going to call it sword, just so that people visualize it. But it's a slender little sword. It's more of a European aspect, and it's very more common in Europe, from what I know, from what I've seen. You've seen it in the Olympics, so just so that the audience knows what fencing is. Okay, awesome. You got into it at the age of 11, and you were pretty involved, and you finally managed to get a scholarship with the University of Detroit Mercy. So you move away from Tijuana and you go over to Detroit, right? And in Michigan, it's not, the weather is not the same, the culture is not the same. So I want you to go back and tell us, okay, my first year, my first couple months, my first semester, what was that like, and how did you keep going? And what advice would you tell people or individuals that actually are moving from their home state or hometown to a different location, be it mid USA, East USA, somewhere far away where you can't drive to get back home? Can you talk about that experience?
Sure. Um, First of all, I want to say that I feel like I kind of skipped it for the last question. The way I got and started investigating about college in the US, I feel like I started the process pretty late. Honestly, that was the original reason for my gap year. But I remember at the beginning of like my research about just college in the US and how it worked, was that I didn't even know what tuition was. I had to do everything by myself because my parents were busy, they had work. I'm the oldest brother, so it was just myself. I was the only person I had to rely on, and I had actually went up to UCSD, the University of California in San Diego. Went to the financial aid office a couple of times to ask of um, any different paths that I could take. We talked about community college, but what I would say that the motivation came strictly from myself. I didn't have anyone to help me, and yes, of course, it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be times where you just feel. Actually, I applied to Sacred Heart University at Connecticut, and I got accepted, but I just didn't have enough scholarship. That happened before the University of Victoria Mercy. So yes, there's gonna be moments where you lose motivation, you're upset, but I would say just keep going. And every failure or every time you fail, even without realizing, you're probably closer to success. So I would say the main thing that I had to do was just keep going and keep moving forward, not let something or any situation. Even my parents a couple of times told me, well, maybe you should stay here. Why would you go away from us? I mean, I love my parents, and they love me too, but of course it was hard. It was hard to leave my family. I to this day I still miss them a lot because I see them a couple of times a year. But moving back to your question, how was that first year, first experience over here? So I actually knew I was coming to Detroit Mercy only 1 week before classes started. Since I started the process pretty late, as I said, I received all like the full scholarship package just the Monday before classes. So I did everything, changed my phone number, opened a bank account. What else? I think, yeah, I mean, packed everything on Saturday. Well, actually, it was, yeah, Saturday night, got here to Detroit at like Sunday, 6 a.m. And classes started on Monday. So everything was super fast. And that Sunday before I got my scholarship package, I really didn't know where Detroit Mercy was. I didn't know where Michigan was on the map. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how the school looked. Yeah, it was something very crazy. And honestly, I just thought, and I didn't look it up because I thought it was just um, pretty hard to get the amount of scholarship that I needed. And this is kind of like the imposter syndrome, I feel like, since I wasn't sure enough, but I was just like, I don't know. I thought I was not gonna be able to make it, but I did. But yeah, I got here to Detroit at 6 a.m. the Sunday before classes. I remember my first day. I was pretty nervous, honestly. I just, yeah, I didn't want to talk in front of the class. I mean, it didn't happen, but that those two first weeks of adjustment, especially like the language too. I mean, I've been in bilingual schools since I was 5 years old, but still, English is my second language. But it was definitely something. I was stressed. I just felt kind of out of place. I missed my family, but it is something that it's a feeling that it's gonna go away. Things are gonna start getting easier. You're gonna make friends. You're gonna meet people. But I would say just be really open to talk to people. Don't get pretty like nervous. Don't be shy, and try to make connections. Try to find someone that you can talk with, or if you actually feel like you're struggling, uh, um, seek help. But in my case, I feel like those two first weeks were the hardest part um, of adjusting everything. I mean, I was over 2,000 miles away from home, so it was definitely something different. The weather, that first winter here in Michigan, it was just something unexpected. I mean, in Tijuana, it's like that's what I tell my friends all the time. It's between 50 to 80 degrees year round. Like
Yeah,
there's
right.
there's no snow. That doesn't exist over there. So
Unless
I
you go to
remember,
La Rumorosa, or maybe if you're on this side
yeah,
of the border,
exactly.
you
But
go to
it's like
Julian. And you'll
It's
see a little bit
something.
of white, and it kind of melts after a couple
Yeah,
hours, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's something that really doesn't happen over here. So, I mean, yeah, that first winter wasn't that bad, but still, it was something completely different of what I was used to.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, second year got better. I already had my friends, and but yeah, nowadays I feel like Detroit is my second home. I'm really grateful to have met all the people that I've met so far, and yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. Okay, great, awesome, awesome. So, what advice or how do you suggest or indicate for people to continue going forward? Right? You said it goes away, but obviously when you're living it, it's a little bit hard. We've heard in previous interviews, homesickness. You feel far away. You feel like you're all alone. You even mentioned it in this conversation. But how do you cope with it when you're in it? Right? It's really easy to for me as a older person, adult. I can say, yeah, it's gonna go away. Time will heal. And you have gone through that, and you say, yeah, it goes away. But when somebody's going through it, what advice, how can you motivate somebody to keep moving forward?
I would say the main two things that I did were number one, if I really miss my family, well, I would just video call them, call them at the end of the day, give them a quick call. I would say even to this day, I talk to them almost every day.
Mm,
That's one of the main things that I've been doing for the last 3 years, and I feel like that really helps. At least a 15, even sometimes even like 5 minutes, just saying hi or how was your day, or sometimes going and talking for over an hour, depending on how busy they are. But I would say definitely talking to your family, because I mean, of course, it's not going to be the same as in person,
yeah.
but it still really helps. Number two, make friends. I feel like once you start making friends and you get past that point of being completely by yourself, you're gonna start feeling better. You're gonna start kind of forgetting about it, and I would say the third thing that I do still to this day is being pretty busy. I feel like the busier you are, the least time you're gonna have to be thinking about how, I don't know, how much you miss your family, or maybe not lonely, but yeah, I would say being pretty busy and find something that really awakens your passion. In my case was, I mean, mechanical engineering, as I said, is my biggest passion. So just focusing on my major and be doing extracurriculars, getting more involved that even like normal classes get you involved. So I would say, yeah, talking to my family, making friends, getting busy, and just working on something you're really passionate about.
Awesome, which kind of leads me to the next question. So you're going through the academics, right? You feel a little bit out of place, and this is where we get to this organization called SHIP, right? This right here. So Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. There's chapters all over. Everybody that's listened to the podcast knows that there's different levels. There's the student, high school, junior chapters. There's the college, community college chapters, there's the professional, and then everything kind of goes up to the top of the national. So, with that being said, you're from Tijuana, you studied in Mexico pretty much all your life. You, I'm assuming, had not heard of SHIP, right? That was unheard of. So I want you to kind of walk us through. You're going to, Detroit Mercy, the University of Detroit Mercy, and all of a sudden you run into probably this table, you see a flyer, you see SHPE, you're like, what the heck is this? And somebody says, hey, maybe let's go. You're Latino, Mexican, you fit right in. They tell you what it is. Can you walk us through that process or to tell us what actually happened?
Yeah, for sure. It was actually my freshman year. Um, it was like we have like a class for freshman people or freshman engineering students or STEM majors in general, where they kind of teach you about how to manage your LinkedIn and your resume, how to build up connections. A it's one class that we have our first semester, freshman year, and there one of the professors. was actually from Texas, and he was Hispanic too. So I actually his name is Rick Acevedo, and I talked to him a good amount of time during my freshman year. I kind of felt identified since, I mean, he was Hispanic too, and he was in engineering. We talked a little bit, a couple of times, and he mentioned ship, and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that that was the thing over here, or at that time, I didn't know it was that big all around the U.S. But so yeah, I mean, he basically invited me to join. I joined the organization, and that's how it started. Later on, my sophomore year, which was last year, I got uh, invi- um, I got an invitation to join the board members, which I'm still the secretary as of now. But we've done pretty good work. Actually, this Friday we have a mock interview workshop with the Detroit chapter for all of our members and myself, of course. And we have brought companies like GM, General Dynamics Land Systems, Wallbridge, DTE to do like info sessions about their I mean their products in general, and some interview advice and stuff like that for our members to actually be more involved with the organization and make it bigger in a thing here at UDM campus.
Awesome. So you kind of touched on what I was asking. You know, you found out about SHIP through your professor, Rick Acevedo, I believe, right? That's what you
Yes,
mentioned.
sir.
And then you also mentioned something about the benefits, something that you obtained. You know, you LinkedIn. If you don't know as a student what the importance of LinkedIn is, now you do. You also talked about, you know, mock interviews, resume reviews. As a student, you really don't have a lot of knowledge on how to or who to attend. There's the career services, the career center, but they're going to give you generic advice, right? Whereas if you go to the mock interviews and resume reviews, there's individuals that work in the industry that have worked in the industry. Maybe they're not recruiters per se, but they've done help the recruiting process, and they have a little more insight as to what the recruiters of pertinent companies actually look for, type of language that they're looking for, type of format, type of information and structure of the resume itself, and what to look for in the actual mock interview aspect, so that when you are faced with the real interview, you can literally go ahead and regurgitate to some extent some of those responses, right? So those are some of the benefits. What is one of the biggest thing that you found not knowing about SHIP, coming from Mexico, learning about SHIP, being involved in SHIP for what, 2, 3 years now at a university level? What's the biggest benefit for you?
Well, so far, honestly, it has been my current advisor that she was assigned, or I was assigned to her, but her name is Diana Ortega, and I met her during my freshman year. She is also very active in the ship community and just Hispanic community in general here at Detroit. And she has given me so much advice on even how to negotiate for internships. She honestly, actually, a couple of weeks ago, she invited me to this other event for the Detroit Hispanic Community Development Center, where or they are helping high school and middle school kids pursue a STEM career. They have like a little lab for first robotics, and they have machines, computers, 3D printers. But I would say definitely the connections. I would say people sometimes sleep on actually talking to people, reaching out, and just because there's something with ship that that it's just different. It's just different. The feeling of um I don't know, of Hispanic people, of the feeling of that you know each other for XYZ reason. There's something with like familiarity that I feel like it's not seen in many other cultures. And I feel like specifically at SHIP, that is still a value that the organization promotes a lot. So I would say that's one of the things that I'm really proud and I'm really happy, and that made me wanting to grow the organization or our chapter a little bit more. I would say definitely the connections and that feeling of being part of a group, a part of a family that it's trying to impulse everyone to just be better and be successful.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm going to make a little parenthesis and highlight what you kind of mentioned here. So, if you recall, I asked you one of the first questions was, tell me about your core values, right? This organization, SHIP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, actually has core values. For those of you who've listened, you know that I've always talked about the core values that are about SHIP or for SHIP. And even Rod Garcia, who I interviewed a couple years back, talked about, the four core values. There's four core values: familia, education, service, and resilience. He said the first one is familia, and that's exactly how it's written, familia. Because to you, Arturo, to me, even though we're not necessarily related, we're still familia through SHIP, through engineering, through a mechanical engineering degree, through the industry that we work on. So what you referenced there, from my perspective, is full on the core value of familia. Wherever you go, whoever you talk to, if you go to any meeting at whatever university chapter, whatever professional chapter, you're gonna meet somebody and say, "Hey, I belong to SHIP." Whatever you're from Detroit, so you say Detroit Mercy, and we're gonna say, "Oh, I belong to UCSD," or "I belong to SDSU." I personally belong to the San Diego professional chapter. So we're still going to open our arms and welcome you and talk to you and get to know you. So that's that familia aspect that you kind of referred to. That's my perspective, right? You also kind of hinted at this opened doors for you, right? Being part of SHIP opened doors for you, which you highlighted and indicated internships, which is the next phase of the conversation here. You recently just finished an internship with Rank America, and in
Sure.
the introduction I talked about Rank. It's a manufacturer of transmissions and other drivetrain components for combat vehicles, which is Department of Defense or DoD as it's known, right? So, can you tell me how did you end up getting this opportunity with Rank?
So my sophomore year, I was pretty happy with my internship in the automotive industry, but I was just looking for something a little bit more complex, a little bit more mechanical in mechanical systems and more hands-on. So I looked up different companies, different defense contractors in Michigan, and I ended up finding Rank. As you said, they mostly do powertrain components at the Muskegon plant where I was working at. They do a V12 engine and the hydromechanical power transmission that supports around 800 horsepower. So, I mean, starting from there, I was, let's say, really in love with the product. I thought that was pretty cool. I applied. I actually think that I was qualified for the position, definitely. And I had two rounds of interviews, and I ended up getting the job as a manufacturing engineering intern.
Okay, awesome. So from this experience, you go in, you do your 10 weeks internship process, you do a presentation or you work on the product itself and you solve some of the problems. You get to meet, network with some of those individuals there. From your perspective, now looking back at it, what's the biggest takeaway from having completed this particular internship?
I would say just a little taste on how the Department of Defense works. We had, I mean, CUI controlled information, ITAR regulations too. But I would say mostly the way mostly in defense, the products are pretty complex. It's not like you're making, I don't know, cups of plastic. You're making planes, you're making tanks, heavy armor vehicles, even like complex electric systems. So everything is pretty complex. It takes its time. And there was a difference in the sense of number one, the amount of time that certain products are going to take because it's not the same if you're comparing the hours per unit of the entire transmission compared to, I don't know, a door panel. So, number one, I would say just the fact that if you want things to be or work 99.9% of the time. It's going to take time. Also, how to prioritize quality assurance and have pretty standardized processes and checkpoints to make sure every single part of a subassembly and those subassemblies combined are going to work. So I would say just I had exposure to how complex um, different systems in the Department of Defense can be, and I really liked it. I really liked the how different departments of engineering work together, and I would say there's more science going into systems like this. So I would say that would be my biggest takeaway.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Right before we started the interview, you were telling me before we started recording, you were telling me that you are getting additional calls from different companies right now that are, interviewing you for possible internships for the summer of 2026. So, couple questions there. How does that make you feel now, right? And the other question is for our listeners, if you recall, you were a freshman at one point, and you were probably struggling to get an internship. So, what advice or what recommendation would you tell or share with our listeners in order to actually obtain an internship if they are struggling? So, those two questions.
So, fun fact, I actually did a presentation on the same thing, same topic for our freshman class. I think it was last Thursday on basically my experience and how did I get that first internship. Because it is, as I said earlier before, it's not a secret that freshman year students are going to struggle. And it's normal. It's normal because you're competing with students that are sophomores, juniors, rising seniors, or that even be, in that summer between their senior year and masters. And you guys are competing for everything at the same time. So there's going to be a struggle. But I would say my main advice, number one, the more applications you do, the higher chances you have of getting an internship. That's my number one. If you apply to two, three places, um, maybe you do get them. Like it can happen, but I would say be really aware that you have to spend some time researching companies, researching people, and you have to be applying a lot. Number two, be aware of the companies that are around you. In my first year, the plant I was working at, Highland Park for Yanfeng Automotive Interiors, the plant is 10 minutes away from campus. I was staying on campus, so it was pretty close. And companies usually prefer people that are local, that are not going to be having to move from New York to San Diego for 3 months because it's just harder. It's just harder for the student. And actually, fun fact, I had to move up to Muskegon for the summer, even though Muskegon is 2 hours away from Detroit. But I had to rent an apartment over there, and I actually had a couple of incidents with my car. So it's just harder, and it's going to involve potentially, or it could involve more problems. So companies like students that are near them and that are local from the area. So just be really aware and research those companies that are around you, and also research companies that hire freshmen, because there are some companies that are known for that. I'm not gonna say, oh, only applying for those companies that hire freshmen, but just be really aware of the ones that do, and be checking their job postings once or three times a week, because that's exactly what I did. Also, another advice is that maybe, well, my question was, well, what am I going to put on my resume if I don't have any relevant engineering work experience yet, right? On my freshman year, since I didn't have any internships. Well, some of the things that I put on my resume and that it worked was any extracurriculars. Companies like to see that you have some sort of leadership and that you know how to communicate with other people from different cultures, or just diversity in general. Also, any projects that you have worked on, even in high school or outside of what school is. I've done a couple of projects. I had a little business repairing couple of go-kart engines and some electrical appliances before college. So that really helped me during my interview, showing some hands-on troubleshooting experience. Also, as I said, any projects or things that you did in high school, like robotics, um, physics club, chemistry club, or anything like that. Also, one thing that I did and helped me a lot was getting any like week-long certificates on pretty engineering crucial software tools like Python, MATLAB, any CAD software like AutoCAD, for an example. That really helped me. And also, if you have any very specific or special course that you took in high school that really relates to that internship, well, you can also put it there and mention some things that you did in that course that relate to the job you would be possibly doing at that internship.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for sharing that insight. And the other one is now that you're on your third internship, almost third internship, you're getting calls from different people, right?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Obviously, I believe that it's a huge feeling of being proud and being relieved to some extent, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, all the hard work is essentially paying off, and I'm seeing and I'm reaping the benefits of all the things that I set out to achieve, and the things that I let go to be able to focus on this particular path. So how does that make you feel?
I mean, as you said, it just it just makes me happy. It
Yeah.
makes me happy to see all that, especially my first year. So honestly, everything is going according to the plan. What I was saying before my first year, well, I need to get an internship this year for me to actually get a like internship that I like or aligns more with my career goals my second year. So I tried pretty hard to get that first internship since I knew it was going to be hard, but I knew it was possible. Then my second year, well, now that I actually have some experience, I can be a little bit more selective to get an internship in something that I would really like. And it happened. And this year, I'm actually going for a pretty big company in the industry that I really like, which is defense and aerospace. And it's kind of going according to the plan. So it makes me really happy, honestly. But I it has been only hard work. It's not luck. I came here to Michigan knowing no one, having no family near me. And with no friends, no connections. So all the things that I'm accomplishing to this day is because of my resilience and the support of my family. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, you just mentioned resilience, so that's incredible. That's really good, right? Keep going, keep moving forward one step at a time. So that's really awesome. Um, we've gotten to the point of your internship. We've talked about your path with SHIP. Are you going to the SHIP convention in Philadelphia? And I'm assuming that people can actually connect with you if they want to talk to you and reach out to you. Is that something that you would like to do as well?
For sure. As you said, yeah, I'm actually going. I'm gonna be there since the first day, and I'm gonna leave the Saturday after I think around 5 p.m. because I actually have a fencing meet at New
Mm,
Jersey the
okay.
Sunday of that week. So it's I made a pretty big effort to be able to go there because I really wanted to go this year. I wanted to get some exposure to the ship convention, at least before graduating, and see how it is to go to a massive event where, as you said, everyone is just behaving as familia. Basically, I feel like that's something that I'm really gonna enjoy, and definitely if anyone that is seeing this and if you see me walking around, don't hesitate to reach out and say hi.
So if this is your first convention, and this goes for not only you but for everybody in the audience, right? It's a it's a it's a huge event. You're going to be stepping into an arena with over 10,000, 12,000 people. About 8,000 of those are students. They all look and talk and listen to a lot of a similar music that you listen to, so that's a lot of huge commonality. The fact that they all kind of talk Spanish at different levels is a huge commonality as well. Culturally, we're very similar. It just makes you feel your heart, honestly, your heart gets elevated and you feel this emotion that you can't really express until
I
you
agree.
see it for the very first time, right? A very emotional time, and I think, Arturo, you're going to really appreciate that emotional, soak it all in, take it all in, cherish it, and enjoy the convention to the fullest, right? If you're interested in listening to how to prepare or what to expect, I do have an episode coming out about, and if you're listening to this one, that episode already came out. So talk to and hear what some of those individuals are actually listening or doing or recommending you do in preparation for that convention, right? So that's really good. So is there anything else at this moment before we go to the next set of questions that maybe you wish that we can highlight shortly?
Um, I would say just, well, I've told her so many times, but still, I wanted to thank my advisor, Diana Ortega, for all the help and support she has given me throughout my 3 years in college since the first week that she was assigned to me. So I just wanted to thank her, and hopefully she'll listen to this, or if not, I'll tell her again for the 20th time.
So thank you, Arturo. The next phase is called rapid fire. If you heard the episodes, you know that there's a couple questions that come after, and I would like to have you respond to them within, short sentences, really fast. So the next questions are: good leaders always create good leaders. Do you have any individuals you look up to? Who are your mentors?
Mm. In Fort Worth, this ultra runner called David Goggins. I actually read his book like 3 4 years ago, and I actually can say that that book by itself changed my life and my perspective of both resilience and working towards goals or objectives that seem impossible. So I would say that's one. And I would say in the engineering world, oof, that's a hard one. Uh, oh my God, I just can't think of one right now.
Okay.
But for now, I would say David Goggins.
David Goggins, okay, yeah, and he's an ex-Navy SEAL. He talks about in his book the resilience and the things that he mentally has been able to endure to physically go through some situations and how you can continue moving forward. So that's David Goggins right there. What is the one question for you that you wish more people would ask but seldomly do?
um, ask to me, or
To you about Arturo.
maybe a little bit more of my story. I feel like here at the Tory Mercy, I mean, everyone sees that. Yeah, I mean, I'm a 399 GPA student. I won a like handful of awards, but they really don't know where I come from and what I did to be here at UDM and be having two wonderful internship experiences. They just don't know, and I feel like sometimes I'm just really proud of my background, so I like to share it whenever I get asked about it, and I would say that.
Awesome. Hence why we're doing this story so that we can push out your particular story to the world. Thank you. What do you believe your superpower to be at this point?
Definitely passion for what I do, and I mentioned it before, passion for anything that I do, because I like I like to win. I like to, and I position myself every single day and work towards success. So I would say passion.
Okay, thank you. So the passion. You highlighted Mr. Goggins. He's an author. He's written books. But is there any particular book, movie, podcast that you believe has made an impact in your life and you wish more people would definitely take advantage of it?
Um, Actually, yes, I read a couple of books related to ownership and leadership, but the name is Extreme Ownership by Joko Willink. That's a pretty good book. Yes, it talks about the military and how he was a leader in the military. But I feel like a lot of those principles can apply for people like us, or even older people that are in management, to how to be a real leader. Because people sometimes can be in management positions, but that doesn't mean that they really know how to be a good leader. So I would say that's one book that even me, I'm at a young age, and of course I'm not in a management position, but it has helped me change my vision towards leadership, and gave me some pretty good advice and insight on how to be a good leader.
Okay, awesome. So Extreme Ownership by Jocko Wilkins, I believe, right?
Well,
Wilkins.
like, yeah.
Wilkins, right? That's great. What is your definition of success at this moment?
Oof. At this moment, honestly, um, in a short period of time, like this year, getting an internship with a top 10 defense contractor in the U.S.
Awesome. That's great. Incredible. Congratulations on that. That's amazing. The last one, I want you to, close your eyes. I want you to visualize yourself going back to and crossing the border to Tijuana, right? And when you cross the border to Tijuana, you're literally going back to and finding, as you step into your house, you're finding that little Arturo, 11-year-old boy who just came back from practice, and he has so much hope, so many dreams, but has no idea how he's going to get to where he needs to get. Can you tell us, Arturo Rangel Alvarez, what three pieces of advice would you share with that young Arturo if you had 1 or 2 minutes?
Um, listen to the people around you, but be careful while listening. I would say one of my main things that I've done my entire life is learning from my surroundings, learning from my parents, my teachers, my friends, but being really careful with the information that I really want to learn, because not everything or not everyone around you is going to give you positive advice or is going to support you, and that's normal. That's just the way the world works. But you got to be really smart your with your friends, the people you choose as your advisor, and the people you listen to day by day. So that would be the number one thing. Number two, just keep going, and don't let anything get in your way to accomplish your dreams. And number three, sorry, you have dreams, but as the same way I did it since I was a kid, you have to convert your dream into a goal. Realize that it's actually possible. It's actually possible to reach that industry, that company, that position later on in your life. But not only realize it, but convert it into a plan. Think about step by step, what do I need to do in order to 5 years from now reach this position? Well, a person that works here has this skill XYZ. So I probably will need that skill too. So start learning about those things that you know you will need in order to accomplish that initial dream that it ended up being a goal. So just be aware and play in the long term. Don't get upset by anything that happens today or tomorrow or this week, because time is going to keep going, and you're going to keep learning. You're going to keep growing as a person, student, professional. So make sure to play in the long term. I would say those are the three things that I would tell myself.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great insight, great perspective. Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge you for your resilience. I want to acknowledge you for your supportiveship. I want to acknowledge you for your achievements and your success at this point. You're in a great path and you will continue to do great things. I want to encourage you to continue moving forward, as you indicated. That's one of your, advice to yourself and to your younger self as well. So keep moving forward one step at a time. There's going to be obstacles, failures that you will face, but off of those, you will continue learning. So with that, thank you so much, Arturo Rangel Alvarez, for doing this interview with me. Thank you so much to the audience for listening. And if you want to connect, listen, and or reach out to Arturo Rangel Alvarez, you can do so at his social media through LinkedIn or maybe Instagram if he has it. So go ahead and reach out to him. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Such a great conversation with Arturo Rangel Alvarez. The trajectory he shared with us about his path into the University of Detroit Mercy certainly wasn't unconventional, but does show that resilience and persistence do pay dividends. It was a pleasant conversation with him as I learned and saw his commitment to becoming a mechanical engineer. Hearing his path on getting and securing an internship is very valuable and very applicable to any college student. I hope you take some great insights and do reach out to him for further advice. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Hasta luego. Bye-bye.